So we'll have to see if I got footage of taking this thing apart. I think I did, but it's been a little bit mixed up lately with all the projects going on. But this is a valve on the skidder. I just took it out of the parts washer. It's all clean, ready to go back together. It's got the lever on it, and this one adjusts how much flow coming from your pump either goes through the cooler or goes into the hydraulic system. And my understanding is this is set up so you can proportion your flow to dump more flow to the cooler and back to tank if you're driving the machine on the road, which I don't really plan on doing, but it slows the hydraulics down basically and does more cooling. So it's easier to plumb it back in than change it, and maybe there's a good reason for it. So I guess we're going to reseal it and put it back together because everything else is resealed, so this might as well be too. We're going to start off all these port plugs. These are all Boss O-ring. So we'll change all those out. Always change your Boss O-rings out. It's nothing quite as annoying as having these fail and leak everywhere. Got a nice clean fresh machine with oil leaking. Pop these off. You can see, if you look at them, if I can get this thing to focus, it's not round anymore. It's got a little bit of a taper to it. It's the shape of the Boss port, and that won't have much squish since it's already deformed. It will it doesn't have as much sealing ability anymore. Like you can see, that's really formed in there. A fresh O-ring, and it's got a little cut too. A fresh O-ring will do a lot better. This one looks original. It's got orange paint, just like everything else on it. So just snapped. See, there's not much left of these. So we'll change these out. Probably, yep, those look like it. And these are a harder O-ring. I think they're a 90 durometer. Standard O-rings are 70. So they're a little bit specialized. They aren't crazy special, but they're not your usual. You might be able to get away with one in a pinch of regular, but might as well use the right stuff. There it is. I've got a few different kits, and to put these on, I actually take the O-ring, the old one's off, and set it on here, and then you don't want to use the tip of the pick on them. I loop the pick through, and then use it to sort of spiral it down on. And that way I don't cut the O-ring, I'm just working it down over the threads. You want to make sure it's not twisted. A twisted O-ring will actually leak. There's the little seam on them for manufacturing, and that, you wouldn't think so, but it will actually leak. At least it can. So we gotta I'll change these O-rings quick. There's a backup. Backups look fine. It's the white ring there, and then there's O-ring itself. And spiral these on out. It's a little tricky showing you, but you're looking at them. They come off of there. They look sort of squarish, but I think they've just been on there so darn long that they're sort of square at this point. Now we could go a couple different directions with this. I have both 70 and 90 durometer O-rings. The 90s are much harder. And I think I'm going to go with the harder O-ring just because I've got to get down around the ports inside here, and I want to make sure they don't cut. They should seal the same. So matching them up. These are the same size. So we'll spiral these on the same way we did the Boss O-rings. Same way you kind of do just about all O-rings. You want to make sure you're on the correct side of the backup ring. So you always put the backup ring away from the pressure because the O-ring is getting pushed out and the backup ring holds it in place. And they increase the holding power of an O-ring. Not quite sure why that's better than just cutting the groove narrower, but I know they improve. There are some nitrile ones, the black rubber ones you can get, which have the O-ring profile in one face, so they definitely keep it from rolling. But these plastic ones, maybe they deform just enough to hold it better than the metal. I'm not sure. They are smooth on the sides though, so don't exactly know how they help, but they do. Okay, so we're in there. Now we're going to take our spool. It's got 2 washers here. That's a washer. This is actually a lock washer. It must have been shimmed at some point. The spring goes right on there. I don't know if it, yeah, it doesn't sit down any further. This is the way it was, so I should probably keep it that way. I'm just going to put just a little bit of grease on it, just to make it slide nicely. Don't need to damage anything going together. And this slides into the housing right in the end. Gently does it. So that's in there. Now we've got this plug. It's got a hole for the spring in the end of it. And it's got a fresh boss O-ring on it. I'm going to thread this stuff in by hand. We'll go around and tighten all these up once it's all together. Then we can try to put a lever, which, so this has, let's put a little grease in the O-rings. This baby has a hole in the middle of it. So when you turn it, it can direct the flow from one side to the other. Work it down in here. Looks like we're down. And there is a groove for the snap ring. In here. I've got my snap ring pliers here. I'm going to take it and put it down in there. Make sure it's in the groove. Well, not quite in the groove. I got a little bit more push up with it. There we go. You sort of snap in when they get in the groove. Pull it closed. There we go. Our snap ring's in the place where it belongs. Now this turns freely. So now we have a few more ports to cover. We've got this cap for over here. We've got a big one for our inlet down here. And then we've got our 2 ports for, these are the same, going out to the cooler and going to the main hydraulic valve. Controls everything else. And then, once that's all together, I'm going to probably put these on the machine. I've got main pipe that goes from the pump into the valve, and this one goes from the valve to the or from this valve to the main valve body to control the rest of the machine. And then I think this one just went down to the cooler. We'll have to look at the diagram. In the book, I was seeing information stating that the early machines, it went the cooler to tank. In the later ones, I believe, I'll have to double check this, went to the cooler and then teed back into the flow back to tank, just to make sure you couldn't build pressure in the cooler. So I might have that a hair wrong. I got to look at the diagrams and set it up. This was set up in the later version, I remember that. So I'll make sure it's all correct, and this will tighten it down. You'll see it going in the machine. I'm just going to give these a quick little zip. I'm not going to hammer them. You can over tighten them, but I can just zip them a little bit. Those are all tight, and then I've got these bolts. These are just the mounting bolts. Yeah, I think we'll put it in backwards. No big deal. Just switch it around. That's why you should do everything in one go. I took this apart about a week ago. Much better to take it apart and put it right back together. But, as with a lot of things I do, if it's for myself and another job pops up that needs to be done quick, sometimes I do the other job quick. And try to get back to my own stuff. But operate smooth. Drop these bolts in. You don't have to tighten these down yet. These do bolt to kind of that big guard that's above the transmission. One of these is longer. I'm not sure which it's supposed to be, but I am sure it'll be pretty darn obvious when I go to put it in. So then we got these tubes, which just trying to remember which one goes where. Once again, these will be pretty darn obvious once it's time to go together. I think it goes something like this. This one goes here, and I know this one goes on the other port. Goes to a hose. Hopefully we'll have an episode where I go and re-hose the thing. Waiting for another roll of hose and some fittings to show up to do that. We do make hoses. I can show you how to do that if there's interest. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know if you have any interest in that. This one, I think, goes this way. So this mounts next to the valve body. This comes over and goes down to the top of the valve body. This one curls around underneath and goes into the high pressure side of the hydraulic pump. And this one goes up to the hydraulic cooler. And then you can adjust it here. So I guess the only thing left to do is put a knob on this. Went and got a new knob. Hopefully it should be the right thread. Let's chase those out so it works. We'll just use a die. Run down these threads quick. So the new knob will go on there without making a mess of it. There's a brass insert. These are some gnarly old steel threads. You hear peeping in the background, that'd be the box of chicks. Increasing the flock this year, as always. Well, I don't have a lot of chickens, but it's good to add a few so that as they stop laying, you keep having some fresh girls in the flock. I guess I could have done this in the vise before I put it together, but this really isn't bad. I'm curious to see how this valve affects machine operation. I've never run anything with this setup, so we'll see. I don't expect to use the heck of a lot, but I might as well put a nice knob on there anyway. My luck, if I didn't have a knob, I'd probably tip forward and stab myself on it or something. So there it is. All freshly rebuilt. Like, subscribe, comment. Hope you like it. I'll show you putting this in the machine real soon. And also catch me on my other little video. Hopefully I'll post at the same time. Hydraulic pump, I gotta switch the rotation. You can switch pumps between clockwise and counterclockwise rotation just by switching a few parts around these gear pumps. So hope you join me for that video too. I'm gonna film that right now. Hopefully post at the same time, and come along for the journey. Check it out, and I'll see you then.